Here I am in London with Frédéric Panaïotis, the chef de cave at Ruinart, with two new wines, Dom Ruinart Blanc de Blanc 2004 and Dom Ruinart Rosé 2002, both of which have just been launched. So, Fred, if you could just talk us through these two new wines and just tell us a bit about their character and how you see them developing.
Right. Well, bonjour first. Well, both wines are all Grand Cru made, very heavily Chardonnay oriented. Obviously, the white is 100% Chardonnay, but even the rosé has a very high percentage of Chardonnay, 80%, which is surprisingly high for our rosé. They're very typical of Dom Ruinart, I think, but also showing the vintage qualities. The Dom Ruinart 04, which is a blend of Côte de Blanc, 69%, but 31% Montagne de Reims, which is surprising because the Chardonnay Grand Cru in the Montagne de Reims can be very, very good, and those are more specifically coming from Sillery, Puisieux, Verzenay. They tend to bring a nice intensity and maybe more structure than what is expected in Chardonnay. And as a result, with a combination of 04 being sort of a cool vintage, the 04 Dom Ruinart shows the beautiful citrus fruit, orchard fruit, fresh orchard fruit, but also has a nice of a green, like green tea, fennel, anise element that really lifts the wine. And the palate is very, very delicate, very, very lifted, quite seamless, with a beautiful finish. Has that typical freshness of the 2004 vintage. A fairly low dosage to respect that, the mineral element of the 2004 vintage. Still pretty tight, but I feel there's a lot of potential in the 2004, which will develop into a maybe more profound, not as rich as 2002, but the weight will increase on that wine. 02 Rosé is immediately speaks more, but I think it's both because of the vintage and the extra aging. The addition of red wine brings a spicy, potpourri, stewed fruit element that adds a lot of complexity. And the palate has a lot of weight, but that's typical of the 02 vintage, I believe, and the combination of the red wine and the Chardonnay also leaves a very, very clean, very long finish, very lifted. Again, huge potential, and I would love to see the wines in 10 years from now, and which is typical of the Dom Ruinart Rosé when they ages, develop that gamey, truffly flavor that I think makes Dom Ruinart Rosé so appealing and so different from a lot of the other rosé champagne. So I think we should get an appointment in 10 years from now, Giles.
Absolutely.
And take them again and see how they've developed.
Excellent.
Cheers.
Thank you, Fred.